Hi everybody, Sean here. It looks like I'm going to be helping you guys build your budgets. Lori was kind enough to write up a nice example for us for a tire company. Looks like we have a few streams of income. We have tire sales, installations, rotations, and repairs. So as you can see right now, I have the document open. It's just a blank Excel sheet. I know you guys did some training on Excel. Just to let you know up front, I'm gonna go very slowly through this. Well, what I think is slow. Sometimes people say I talk too quickly, but I'm also gonna do a lot of. Uh, if you guys are familiar with Excel, it's gonna seem pretty novice to you, but I just want to make sure that we're covering all skill sets in Excel. So please, if you're very good at Excel, you know, I, just please use your patience for this video because this is for everybody. So like I said, we're going to be building a spreadsheet. I opened up this file in Excel. It's blank. You can see that each cell, for example, they're all formatted exactly the same when you open up. There's 3 sheets at the bottom. You can see sheet 1, sheet 2, and sheet 3. We're going to use sheet 1. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete out sheet 2 and 3. So if you highlight both of those and hit delete, now we only have 1 sheet left. Just to let you know, we can format cells. We can make them larger, smaller. The easiest way to make cells larger is if you're going to make them wider, I should say, you're going to click on a column, the in between. So we're going to make B larger. We're going to click in between B and C and expand. It's when you get this black cursor with the 2 arrows pointing in a horizontal direction. That's how you would make them larger. You can also make it smaller, obviously, and you can do the same thing for rows. And just to let you know, you can also do multiple at one time. So if I were to highlight like a multiple amount of rows and expanded, they all expand at the same amount. So just a little hint for you guys in case you want to expand a lot of them all at once. Like I said, you can do it for columns as well. So now you can see that this looks pretty awful. So I'm going to undo what I just did, and the easiest way to do that is there's an undo key at the top left. It says undo row height because I just expand the height. So now I want to undo that, so I just click that, and we're back to where we started from. All right, so let's make our budgets here. Let me make sure I'm still recording. I apologize. I've been having some trouble. Yep, I am. Okay. So our first scenario, we have a bunch of, like I said, different streams of income. So just to give you a heads up, what I like to do is I like to break things out between, what's variable and what's fixed. So at the top, I'm going to put my variables because when we're using formulas in Excel, it's good to know where you place those different variables that you can change later on. So if I'm in a meeting with my manager and my manager asks me, well, why didn't you think about this cost associated with a tire? So maybe I underestimated what the variable cost per tire is. So it looks like in our example it's 120. Maybe it's $130 per tire. Well, then I know where I can go up to the top and say, oh, look, there is the cost per tire. I can change that really easily. And below it, all the calculations will follow on their own. So we like to make it as much automatic as possible. If you're not following what I'm saying, hopefully it becomes more clear as we create this budget. So I'm going to start typing up at the top. I'm going to actually make column A smaller, and I'm going to start typing in B2. And I'm going to call this cell variables / inputs. And you can see as I'm typing the cell here, it's also up in this bar. This bar shows everything that you type in, and you can expand this bar as well if you choose to. So if you're typing long paragraphs or long functions, I've written a couple of formulas that have been, I don't know, say 3 lines long, which is really hard to follow. So I had to expand that bar. So just to give you a heads up there. So like I said, I'm going to break it up, the variables at the top, and I'm going to think of these variables in terms of sources and uses. And what I mean by sources, I'm talking about where are our sources of income, what are we making, and we're making money on sale of tires, installations, rotations, and repair. So I'm going to put the prices up here. So price per tire, price per installation, price per rotation, price per repair. And then uses, if you read the Excel or not the Excel, the Word document that Lori had typed up, you're going to notice that our variable costs are going to be cost per tire. So I'm just going to type that in now. As you can see in column B, there's some overlapping into column C. So what am I going to do? I'm going to expand column B, and I go up between B and C. And when I have that little black cross, I just double click and it expands automatically as far as it needs to. I'm going to do the same thing between F and G. And actually I'm going to go a little bit further because you'll see why later. I'm going to have something lower that needs a little bit more of an expansion. Okay, so we have some things written out up top here, which is good. Now that we typed out our different streams of income, and you can see that we're going to put prices up here, we might as well type up the prices. And per the Word document, it looks like we're going to make $230. That's not right. $230 per tire we sell, $15 per installation, $35 per rotation, and $15 per repair. And when I'm going through this with you guys, you're going to see that I'm going to format it to the way I like to see it. You don't have to. What we encourage is that you make these Excel spreadsheets the way you want to see them, because this is your budget and it matters that it's easy for you to read. So there's things that I might do that you might say, hey, he's crazy. I don't know why he's putting an indent there. But it's just easier for me. When I'm looking through here, I know what that indent means to me. So like I said, let's format these how you would like to see it. And we'll be looking at that when we're grading these too, to see that you're doing things that make sense to you. So I wouldn't expect to see everybody have the same exact looking budget. So just to give you that heads up. So like I said, I don't like the formatting of these numbers. They're just too plain to me. I know prices in dollars, so the easiest thing for me is to actually show them in dollars. And the easiest way to do that is if you're on your home tab, see how many different tabs we have. We have a home, insert, page layout, formulas, so on and so forth. If you're on your home tab and you go to the number box, there's actually already a dollar sign there, which puts it into the accounting format. So if you just click that box, those numbers will turn into dollars. And actually, for the sake of this budget, I know that I'm going to actually want this whole column in dollars. I might have to make edits along the way, but it might just be easier to make this whole column in dollars right now. So I'm just going to do that. So I highlighted the whole column and just pressed on the dollars. And now that whole column, if I start typing numbers into this column, it's going to reflect a dollar. So let's move on. So we're selling tires at a certain price per tire, and then we sell so many tires, we sell so many installations, we sell so many rotations, and we sell so many repairs. And I call these sales, okay? And you can actually how about we call them unit sales? It's going to be in units. So we're going to place how many units we sell. And I'm just going to say year one. This is only a 1 year budget. But so I'm just used to putting year 1, year 2, year 3, so on and so forth, because more complex budgets, you're going to forecast into the future a lot more than just 1 year. And so you're going to have multiple years next to each other. So for the sake of this, I'm just going to say 1 year, or year 1. And we had tires, we had installations, we have rotations, and we have repairs. And like I said, I'm going to do these stupid indents, and you might make fun of me for it, but I just like the way it looks. I'm going to actually bold unit sales, and up top here with variables, I'm going to make this, I don't want to put the border on there yet, but I'm going to make this a dark blue with a white, actually I can go a little bit darker, with a white font. So like I said, under the font, in the home tab under the font box, there's a paint, you can see the paint guy right there, paint bucket, and you can pick your color, and then next to it you see a giant A, that's just the color of fonts. You should be very familiar with this. It's the same as it is in Word. So easy to do. It just makes it look a little bit cleaner and better. So I just like to do that, and I'm going to place a box around this whole little area. So I'm going to do an outside border, and I'm going to bold sources. And I probably already forgot to tell you how to bold things. I use a lot of short keys, so the control button plus a letter on the keyboard does a lot in Excel. For bolding, if you hit Control and B at the same time, it bolds it. Or you can also go to the Home tab, and under the font box, you see a giant B like you would in Word. You just click that, and it bolds it. Control B, like I said, that's the same thing. And if you're in Word, you guys might remember that in Word, because I know you guys probably write a lot of papers. The easy way to bold things is Control B. So same as in Excel. Alright, so back to our unit sales. Per our document, let's see, actually I'm going to bold year 1, and actually I don't like where it's sitting right now. It's in D10. By the way, how we reference cells, we reference the column and the row, and that's what Excel recognizes too. So when we start writing formulas, we reference cells, and to reference the cell, you have to type the column and the row of that cell. It's kind of like Battleship when you call out a spot on the board. It's the exact same thing. So that's how you can think of it. So I want to move this up one cell. So what I do is I hover, well, first you click on the cell, and then you hover over the outlined box of it. You see all the arrows come to play. That's saying that you're allowed to move it. So I'm just going to drag it up one and see it moved up one cell. Okay, so per our document, it looks like we are selling 1,000 tires. Notice that it went into dollars because I formatted this whole column in dollars. I'll show you how to reformat that again. Back to non-dollar, I guess you could call it. We're selling 2,000 tires, 500 rotations, and we're doing 1,500 repairs. So highlight those 4 cells, so D11 through D14, and if you go back up to the top under the Home tab, you see that it's in accounting. Another number format that's just really easy that they already have for you. You can always drop down and pick number, accounting. If you're doing dates, it's always good, or you can even do more number formats. But nice easy one is the comma, and that will just get rid of the dollar signs. And since we're selling whole tires, full installations, full rotations, and full repairs, there's not going to be any decimals needed. I'm going to get rid of those decimals. So if you look to the right of the comma under the number box, so up where I'm circling, you'll see to the right it will say increase decimal. Well, obviously we don't want to increase it, we want to decrease it. So look at the one right to it, and it will say decrease decimal. When you hover over it, hit that twice, and both of those zeros will go away. So there you go, all gone. Alright, exciting stuff. Let's move on. So we have our price per tire and we have our units per tire, right? So how can we calculate our revenue? Well, our revenue is going to be the price per tire times how many tires we sell, and the same is for the installation, rotation, repair. So I'm going to call this revenue, and I'm going to bold it, and you can see that it already indented. Well, I don't want an indent there, so there's 2 ways to get rid of that indent. You can go up to the top and you can click the decrease indent, or you can click on unit sales because I want to stay consistent. So the unit sales is exactly how I want the revenue to look. You can go up top to the clipboard, hit Format Painter, and after being I'm sorry, I missed a step. So if you click on unit sales, because that's the cell that I want revenue to look like, then hit Format Painter, and then click on revenue. It's going to format exactly how unit sales was. And I'm missing colon. Okay. And as you can see, I'm going to have revenue for tires, installations, rotations, and repairs. So I want to copy these cells as is and bring them under revenue. So again, a shortcut for that is Control-C. You guys might know that one from Word. Or what you can do is you can right-click and hit Copy. And see how it's it looks like it's a moving box now. The board around it's moving. That's just saying that you've either elected to cut it or copy it. So click to where you want to paste. So I want the first one to be pasted in B17 and then everything under it. You can either hit Control V, which is paste, or you can right click, and above paste special there's this little note looking thing. It says if you hover over it, it'll just say paste. By the way, I think I just gave you the wrong shortcut for oh no, I didn't. Okay, so you can hit Control V or you can hit paste. The P threw me off there. Alright, so let's do that again. I'm undoing. I'm going to highlight tires through repairs, hit Control C, or you right click and hit copy, and then you come down and you go right click, paste, and they're there. Now for the fun stuff. We're going to create our first formula together, and like I said, it's going to be the price per tire times how many tires we sell. So type of formula, you have to hit equals first. You can also hit plus or minus. For older people in the class that may have started on Lotus back, before I was even typing in Excel, plus and minus was the way to start a formula. But Excel is really easy for if you just type, just that equals sign. I like to. It's just how I do all my formulas. Everyone's different. Lori, I've caught her using plus signs to start formulas, and I'm like, why are you doing that? But it's what she's used to. I'm just used to, like I said, I like to stay consistent. So when I start typing a formula, I always hit equals. So I'm going to hit equals, and then I'm going to click on the cell that I want to multiply. So we want to start with price per tire, which is D4 for $230, and then we're going to type in the multiply sign, which is just Shift 8 or the asterisk. So if you could do that for me, and then we click how many units we're selling. So make sure you're clicking on D. For me, it's D11. It might be different for your spreadsheet, but look for the 1,000 tires that we're going to sell and click on that 1,000, and then all you have to do is hit enter. And as you can see, it already populates the $230,000 for us. So nice and easy. And what's even better, I'm going to show you how to drag a formula. So if you look at the bottom right corner, there's a little box. If you hover over that, you get across without pointing arrows or anything like that. That means Excel is recognizing that you may want to drag that formula. You can drag it to the right, or you can drag it down. Obviously, we're going to drag down since our inputs are down. So the 230, after that goes 15, 35, 15. And then for the units, we were multiplying 1,000, but the next one is 2,500 and 1,500. So our formula should be dragged down. And so I just didn't register. So we just drag down, and you can see that it calculated automatically for us. And a nice little check to make sure that it dragged properly. You can double click in the cell and you can see that Excel did it correctly. So price per rotation is 35 times 500 rotations, and that gave us the $17,500. Okay, that is going to be our total revenue when I when I add all these up, and I'm going to get rid of my indent again. And to sum things up, all you do is you type in that equal sign. So we're going to start a formula, and you type in sum, open up the parenthesis, and then you're going to highlight what you want added. So it's those 4 cells above us, so D17 through D12. Close off that bracket or that formula. So Excel's recognizing that I'm done typing in the sum function, and you hit enter. And you can see that we're generating $300,000 of revenue. So I'm going to just put a border around this. Bear with me. Okay. Alright. So let's see what our next task is on the spreadsheet. And looking back to the Word document, just checking my math, looks like we're spot on with 300,000. Alright, so now it says let's talk about variable costs. Cost of your tires you're going to sell will be variable. Let's say the average cost of our tires are $120. Okay. So again, up top, I have uses and sources, and I already typed in the cost per. Apparently, we're selling files. It's supposed to say per tire. How that happened. Okay, and we said we're going to sell it at $120. I'm going to format that sale so it says it's in dollars. And we already have how many units we're selling, right? And that's why we break this stuff out so we don't have to type it again. So it's nice and easy to do formulas. Down here, I'm going to start a new category called variable costs. Okay, and it's putting indents in for me, so I'm just going to use my format painter. Stay consistent. And I'm going to call next line cost per tire. And of course, it doesn't want to indent this time. Alright, so we indented there. And this is going to be a simple multiplication. It's going to be the cost per tire times how many we sold. We sold 1,000. So our total variable cost for selling tires is $120,000. I'm going to call this total variable cost. I can type. Put the border, and I'm actually going to sum this up because if we add in rows later on, not saying we are for this example, but like I said, I like to use formulas as much as possible because if I do make edits, I know that I'm staying consistent with formulas and that the formulas will take care of themselves. Obviously, you have to do checks to make sure that your formulas are doing things correctly, but let's just stay consistent. So this brings me to my next point. Since this is a good example for accounting, we like to talk about profit margin, and your profit margin is simply what you sell it at minus any variable costs. So what's the margin that you're making off of some product you're selling? So we actually have a profit margin that we can calculate now for our tires. So it's the price minus the variable cost, and that's per unit, right? So you can get a profit margin per unit. So I'm going to say profit margin per tire sold. Okay, and you know what? For the sake of showing you something different in Excel, you can see that this leaks into the next cell in G24. So I'm just going to merge these cells together. So if you highlight those two cells and go up top to alignment, you can just hit merge and center, and it'll center it, and then you can align it however you wish. And to calculate our profit margin per tire sold, all we do is take the price per tire and subtract out the cost per tire. So our profit margin per tire sold is $110. And then our profit margin on tires sold is equal to, so I'm going to format painter, there we go, format painter, and click on the cell. Is equal to, there's two ways you can calculate this. The simple way is taking the revenues that we already calculated in D17 and subtract out your cost per tire, and that's going to give you $110,000. Or you can take the 100, since we already calculated the per tire sold, the margin per tire sold, you can take that margin and multiply it by how many tires we sell. So $110 times 1,000 tires is $110,000. And let's just format that as well. All right, so here you see that a lot of these number signs just popped up. Excel is trying to tell me that it cannot show that figure based on how wide that column is, so we have to fix the width of that column, which obviously we just go up top and between the H and I and double click, and there you go. That made it a little bit wider. So I'm going to format this as well, put the border around that, and we are all set there. So let's see what we have next to do. I think we're moving on to our fixed costs. And it looks like we have some employees that we need to talk about or talk through. Bear with me for a second. Fixing something on my other screen. I apologize. Okay. So to stay consistent, I'm going to format paint cell B27 and call these fixed costs. And then we have payroll, because we have, it looks like we have 3 employees. And I'm going to indent this. And we have mechanics. And then the 2 mechanics names are Jim, Duncan, Clerical, her name is Madge. Okay. And I'm going to indent. And then Duncan, Madge. I'm going to highlight them and just give them 1 extra. Done. Okay. So it looks like we're paying Tim. Tim gets paid $26,000 per year. Duncan is making $30,000 per year, and then Madge is making $23,000 per year. Okay, and I'm going to format those cells again. All right, and then that gives us total payroll. So I'm going to go into column D and highlight column C30 through C33, close that off, and it looks like my total payroll is 79,000. Okay. All right. Going back to the Word document, it looks like we have other fixed costs we need to be concerned about. Looks like we have rent, utilities, office supplies, and tools or equipment, whatever you want to call it. Again, these aren't staying consistent, so I'm going to make them consistent. And our rent is going to cost us $2,000 per month. So I'm going to make it a formula, just to stay consistent. So if I go back and the manager's like, well, we got a great deal on rent this month. It's going to, or you analyze it at 2,000, and maybe it's 1,800. Instead of having to do that manual calculation, I can go back and click on cell D35. Go up top to 2,000, just type in 1,800, and then Excel will calculate for me. Same thing with utilities. Our utilities are going to be 1,500 per month, so equals 1,500 times 12. Our office supplies are going to be 400 per month. And then lastly, tools and equipment, looks like it's going to be $1,000 per month, give or take. But in the aggregate for that year, we expect it to be $12,000. So, okay, and let's not forget benefits. Let's assume that health insurance costs $10,000 per employee. All right, so since we're talking about payroll again, those that we're employing, I'm actually going to type in health insurance up by payroll. So it looks like I have to insert a few rows. So how do I insert a few rows? Because it looks like we have health insurance and payroll tax. I want it to fall under the total payroll row, which is row 34. So I highlight row 35 and 36, and I right click and I just hit insert, and it will insert those two rows. And I'm going to call the first one health insurance and the second one payroll tax. Okay. Oh, sorry about that. Wrong key. So our health insurance is $10,000 per person. So I'm gonna do a fun little formula here just to show you guys, what Excel can do. I'm gonna type equals. I'm gonna say count, and I'm gonna ask Excel to count a cell if there's a value in it. And I'm highlighting the cells that I know our employees' wages are in. So I highlighted 4 cells. I'm hoping that when I close off that parenthesis and hit enter, it's going to say 3, which it does. So as you can see, Excel noticed that there was 3 values in those 4 cells, which is saying that I have 3 employees. And I'm going to multiply that by $10,000. So if I were to add, I'm just going to give you an example. If I add a row and, I put myself in there, and clearly I'm not a very good mechanic, so he's only going to pay me $10,000. You can see that my health insurance jumped up to $40,000. My total payroll jumped up $10,000 from $79 to $89 because obviously I'm only making $10,000. Actually, I probably should use $10,000 as an example since that's the health insurance amount. So I'm going to type in $15,000. So our total payroll went up to $94,000, but my health insurance is still at $40,000 because, like I said, I onboarded another employee. Excel's recognizing that now there's 5 cells highlighted here. 4 of them have values. There must be 4 employees there. So just one way to do it. I'm going to delete that out now since I'm not part of the example. So again, now our total payroll is back to $79,000. Our health insurance is at $30,000. Payroll tax, it says that it's going to be 10% total. So our wages are $79,000. 10% of that's going to be $7,900. That's an easy calculation, but let's do it in Excel anyhow. Because say someday the government, decides to make it 15%, or like I said, maybe our payroll is going to go up or down. Assuming if we're doing well, we're going to add more mechanics. So our payroll might go up. Plus, every year, everyone hopes to get a raise. Maybe we get some raises. So we don't want to hard code in 7,900. We want to make it a formula. So I'm going to type in equals, and then you click on D34, or you can even type in D34, so equals D34, and then I'm going to multiply it by 0.1, or you can actually type in 10%. It's up to you. I like to do decimals, so I'm just going to say 0.1, and you can see that it calculated the $7,900 for me. Okay, so it looks like we have a bunch of fixed costs, and I placed the payroll in a column left of those that we're typing in before, just to stay organized, because now I know I just need to sum up D34 through D40, and I'm not going to include the C column at all, so I'm not going to double count things, and that's why I did what I did. Like I said, you might feel like you can keep those all in one column. It's up to you. It's just how I want to stay organized. So I'm going to call this total fixed costs, and like variable costs, I'm going to format paint those cells, and equals sum, and then highlight exactly what you wanted summed up, and it looks like our total fixed costs are $175,700. And let's check Lori's Word document. It looks like, yeah, we're spot on. That adds up to $175,700. Okay, now we can calculate exactly what our profit's going to be, or our operating profit. So to give you a heads up, I'm just going to type in another line here, and I'm going to call it total operating expense. So what are our expenses from the operations, from our operations? And that's going to be our total variable cost plus our total fixed cost. So it's associated with the product that we're selling, whether it's a service or a product. That's going to be our total operating expense, and I'm going to make it similar to full fixed costs for formatting. And that's just equal to our total variable cost plus our total fixed cost. So total operating expense is $295,700, and our total operating profit, this is before taxes or interest. We might be getting further into depth with later on about you purchasing assets to produce your goods, and there's some, if you lease equipment, you're going to have interest expense and so on and so forth. That would be after this. So total operating profit is equal to our total revenue minus our total operating expense. So it looks like we're generating $4,300 operating profit, which seems pretty lousy to me if we want to go forward for this project. So after all this work, after making $300,000 net, we're only taking home $4,300. That doesn't seem great. So Lori placed in a few different scenarios. Say we increase the price, maybe we split the hours of Madge. So I can show you guys that as well. So I'm going to call this scenario 1, and to call this workbook or this worksheet scenario 1, you go down to where it says sheet 1 now, and you double click, and you can type in a name for each worksheet that you have. Right now we obviously only have one. Since I'm going to do a different scenario, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this spreadsheet, and there's two ways you can do it. You can either click this little button next to that scenario 1 tab, and it'll create a different sheet for you, and they call it sheet 4 because remember we deleted 2 and 3. Go back to scenario 1, click the top left button, you can hit Control C, or you can copy, and it's going to copy that whole workbook, and then you do the same thing, highlight that top left triangle looking thing, and then paste, and it comes in as is. The other way you can do it, which is how I like to do it, is we right click, I'm going to unhighlight all this, we right click and we are going to move or copy, and I'm going to create a copy and move to the end, and I'm going to keep it in this workbook. I only have one Excel workbook open right now, so I'm not going to put a new book. I'm going to keep it in the book. As you can see, it's called book 1 because I haven't saved it yet. So create a copy and hit OK, and then you can see I forgot to move it to the end, but I'm going to move this workbook over real quick. And I apologize, but I'm actually getting a call, so I'm going to pause this real quickly. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, just had a quick call. All right, so like I said, now we have scenario 2 here. So we're going to type in scenario 2, and now I can make edits to this as well as keep my first one, which is on the other tab. So you can see that we have 2 tabs of data now. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to increase our price per tire to $235, and that is going to then change our revenue. As you can see, it already had, we had $230,000, now we have $235. So since it's a variable input, the price per tire is going to affect how much revenue we get, because we're taking the price per tire times the tires sold, and that's our revenue. And as you can see, that made that change automatically. It also looks like, let's see, tire repair is going to be $20, so we're going to make that change. You can see it jumped up to $30,000. Now the big one is that we want to reduce Madge's, we want to reduce her time in half, and there's 2 ways you can do that. One, you can say, well, she normally works 40 hours a week. We're going to reduce her down to 20 hours a week. So that's just half of what she has. So we can just, divide it by 2. And since she was making $23,000, now she's going to make $11,500. The other way you can do it is you can break each person's wage to a a dollar amount, and or I'm sorry, a per hour amount, so an hourly rate, because we know that there's 52 weeks in the year, and everybody's working 40 hours. So I can take that salary, divide it by 52, divide it by 40, and that will give me my hourly rate. And then I can adjust it based on that. So I can say, well, her hourly rate is this times the 20 hours that she's going to work, and that's equal to her new salary. So I actually did this already in another spreadsheet. So I'm just, to save time, I'm just going to show you guys exactly how I did that. So to review the analysis here, I called it the salary analysis. I brought in Tim, Duncan, and Madge, and I said 52 weeks per year, 40 hours per week, and the formula was I'm going to take the 26,000 K5 divided by the 52, which is an L5, divided by M5, and that is equal to the hourly wage. As you can see, Madge was making $11.06, per hour at $23,000. Let's see. So then I brought the wages down a little bit further, and I said, well, now we can adjust, how many hours she's working, and I brought it down to 20 hours per week. So as you can see, her adjusted annual wage is $11,500 based on the calculation. So we switched it around. We went from salary to wage. Now we're going from wage to annual wage, or another term is salary. Annual wage is salary. So you can see how the calculation flip-flopped here. So just make sure you make that edit down below in C30 for me through C33. So I said equals, I actually did a VLOOKUP. We won't get into that. I'll actually show you how to do that quickly. So I would just say equals N14, and then I would drag N14 down. It looks like some of my cells here. Okay, so I dragged it down, and then I would just delete the one in clerical because obviously there's no employee there. And then I created this spreadsheet's going crazy. I created this full-time or part-time column because we're calling her part-time now, so she is not going to receive any type of health insurance benefit because she's part-time. So I broke it into full-time, and part-time. So we have 2 full-time employees and 1 part-time. So if you're full-time, you get health insurance, which is $20,000. Since it's $10,000 per employee, and we have 2 full-time employees, so I already know it's going to calculate to $20,000. But I want to show you a cool formula. This one's called Countif, and what you do is you're saying equals Countif, and you open it up, and it says, well, what's the range that you want to analyze? And it's F30 through F33, and I said the criteria is if in quotations, if the cell equals FT, multiply that by $10,000. So that's how the Countif saw that there was 2, and it multiplied it by $10,000. So I can show you, even if I take away the 10,000, just have Countif, it's 2, and then obviously times 10,000. So those were the edits that were made. You can see that now we're operating at making $39,450, a lot better than before. Please reach out if you guys have any questions. I apologize that the video is a little lengthy. I hope it was a useful experience for you guys. If you have any other questions in formatting or formulas, please reach out. I'm always available. Well, I shouldn't say I'm always available, but I'll find time to respond to any questions. So usually that's going to be at night because I work every day, but I'm also available on weekends. So like I said, anytime, reach out and I'll respond when I can. I really look forward to working with you guys this semester. I know it's going to be a great learning experience for you. It's something that Lori and I really love to teach. So, just keep plugging, and you're going to be Excel masters before you know it. All right, guys, have a great evening.